Leo, if you're speaking, I can't hear you.
Oh, it's so over. Everything is so over. We just went live and Tamarsh is having issues. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ukraine versus Portugal. One of the last group stage matches of this weekend. We had a bit of technical issues coming into this, which I think we're still trying to get sorted out for right now, but at the very least, we are going to be getting into this match, since the teams have already been banned, and we're kind of late, and yep, we are rushing. Anyway, Ukraine versus Portugal. Ukraine consisting of Balner, Kotzik, Denj, Crimea, Roman, Artyom, No One Loves, and Yarema. If I pronounce all those names wrong, I am sorry. I was told by a friend that that is how you pronounce them, and if it's wrong, then blame him. WhatsApp, Big Yikes, Kuranora, Kenzel, Peter Pan, Rafamat, Mauer, and Tijanalis. For Portugal, I'm Fire Rage, going to be joined by Tamarsh, who has had a couple of technical issues. How's it going, Tamarsh? Oh, it's over. Oh, it might be over. Oh, no. Well, anyway, let's get into the ban phase. I will be solo casting for right now, and Tamarsh will join when he has his microphone ready, I would assume. It's okay. I'm prepared for this. I'm ready to be, something. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, ban phase. You've been delayed long enough. Let's get right into it. Not sure who won the role. We missed that, but I think we'll be finding that out soon. Yep, there it is. Second ban for Ukraine. So Portugal gets first ban, and Ukraine gets first pick. So just waiting on them to start the ban phase, and we can get this match underway. Two teams are fairly matched evenly against each other in terms of their standings and group stage, so should be a fairly interesting match to see. Hard Rock 2 going to be the first ban. Ukraine banning that out, the precision pick. I believe we missed Portugal's ban. They probably did that beforehand. That will be hidden too. So all the mod-oriented gimmick maps are gone. No precision, no hidden reading. However, there is still one reading pick remaining in the No Mod 3 and a precision pick in the No Mod 5, strangely enough. So those skill sets aren't banned out entirely. We will see if either of these teams opt to go for that, considering how the ban phase went. Ukraine might opt to go for No Mod 3 as a first pick here if they so choose. I do have a bit of leeway with what they want to first pick, though. Pulling up the qualifier results of these. Oh!
Hello, hello. I do apologize.
He's here!
I have made it. I have made it. I am alive.
We finally have a second caster. Welcome to March. I can finally stop yapping by myself for the next 30 minutes.
Absolutely. And no surprises there really from Ukraine going into DT2 to kick things off. Overall, really strong DT-wise coming out of the qualifiers. Very consistent across both runs. Getting at least a minimum of 2.3 million for their respective team scores. Portugal not faring as well, where I believe their peak was around about 2.4. So not the most consistent team on this particular roster, but still got some strong contenders in there. You know, you've got Peter Pan, who did extremely well in their first run at this map, and the same with Udzap for Portugal. So Expect to see those players make a big impact on this one, but I mean the Ukrainian roster is looking scary for this.
In particular, their DT3 score. Granted, DT3 in qualifiers wasn't really a speed map, but was a very standout performance for them. Number 16 overall, their highest placement in qualifiers on any of the maps, I believe. Never mind, they placed higher on Nomad 3, but was still very high in comparison to most of the other average placements that they had. DT2, as you said. Number 26 qualifiers, they had a roughly 2.7 million score. Portugal not too far behind, number 33 at 2.4 million. So, Ukraine with a slight advantage. See if the easier map pool for this stage ends up making a difference for Portugal to maybe claw a break point here.
I think it tends to give more potential on those particularly closer maps from the qualifiers, but I feel like, especially on these DT maps, Ukraine should feel fairly uncontested. Whereas I think Portugal's strength's definitely going to lie a lot more into the more stamina-intensive maps to kick things off. But we'll see how this first map goes. Maybe they will surprise us.
Custom made by Lasse for the World Cup. A very notable name in case you are in tune with the custom mapping scene. Even if you aren't really, Lasse's been ranking maps for God knows how long at this point. This is the speed-oriented pick, as he has done so many times before with maps like System Sun from 2022 OWC, I believe. What was map 4? Either that or Corsace, I'm not entirely sure. Nonetheless, getting into the map here. Struggles in the accuracy department for WhatsApp and TG Nalis, but outside of that, everyone else looking pretty confident.
Yeah, solid four-way there from Ukraine. Good on the accuracies as well. Kotsik looking a little bit shaky to start things out, but Poma's going to be the first one to drop for them, but they've still got an overwhelming majority advantage on the accuracy, maybe from Udzap, as Rafamat and TG Nalis kind of start to struggle in the first third of the map.
Yeah, WhatsApp's accuracy not really helping things that much. Definitely not having a fun time on this, but misses across the board for Portugal. Not going to be helping things. Just way too much of an insane team score from Ukraine in the first third of this map. No one having any problems whatsoever. Just Roman with that, I believe, slider break. It's an unfortunate slider break there, but the accuracy, 98%. Still well comfortable on this.
Yeah, with so much of this being mostly burst focused, unless your tapping's not on point, Poma does drop that combo again, but he's the only one. You've still got 3 major combos there for Ukraine. And Peter Pan will be the last one to drop the full combo for Portugal. They're now just on recovery combos. They've got some good ones, but Ukraine look unfazed at the moment.
Roman does trade one of those misses with Peter Pan, but not much you can do in this scenario. 600k and growing, even with a 3-way break on the FCs right now, it's just not going to be enough. There is solid recoveries on the side of Portugal. Rafamat, TG Nalis, and WhatsApp all have recovered fairly nice. As soon as I even mention somebody's name, man, of course. No one love does trade that, but 2 FCs still remaining on the board for Ukraine this map. This map pick is all but said and done. Portugal to pick next, 1-2-0.
Yeah, Kotsik looking to bring home the only remaining FC for Ukraine, just to finish off with a bit of panache, a bit of style, and does so very successfully. 3.2 million team score, very, very nice, but a respectable 2.4 from Portugal as well. Kind of just getting four-manned on that one, with Udzap just struggling a little bit too much on the accuracy, but only the one miss.
Hey, at the end of the day, combo is what matters most in this system. Even if it is a highly AC-based system, you still get most of your score from combo, which, well, he did that. He beat Roman's score, 550k. Just unfortunately, team consistency for Ukraine, slightly better on that. Everyone else besides Roman above 850k, with the FC from Kotsik rounding things out. Very solid first pick from Ukraine as we get into Portugal's first pick. based on what we have seen Portugal do well on the qualifiers. That is essentially what I was expecting. Hard Rock 2, their precision is not to be messed with. No Mod 5 is the remaining precision map. Ukraine banned Hard Rock 2 in this pool. So let's go for some higher CS precision than the Hard Rock 2. CS 7.4.
Yeah, it's quite a cheeky little short, precise map, this one. Like you mentioned, the 7.4, but it's also got that Openosu style of mapping as well. So there's a lot of technical sliders in this as well that can catch people out. But again, it's the precision that they're really testing. It's the alternate pick for Hard Rock 2 to kind of get you off the ground and still use that skill set to some degree. But it's more comfortable for those who don't really want to play OD10.
Very rare skill set that gets tested in tournaments usually. You don't see a lot of tournament maps really venture into anything higher than CS 6.5. That's usually the bog standard map that you get for a precision pick. Sometimes you get maybe a bit higher than that, but not nearly to the extent that this is. CS almost 7.5. The only other maps that really come close to that would be free mod picks, which are CS 6. Have been in a couple of tournaments.
Yeah,
Very
it was
interested to see how this goes.
A very gimmicky skill set, wasn't it? But it's something that has become more and more common in the more recent years, those higher circle sizes, which has allowed for a kind of unique blend of players to shine through on these sorts of maps, because they don't come up often. They normally only have one or two slots, but they can become quite critical.
I was wondering when we would see him finally come in. Dench coming in for Ukraine, by far the standout player, I think, for most people on the Ukrainian roster. Very well known in the community. Top player, I think still top 100 if I'm remembering correctly, unless PP inflation has gotten that bad, which in that case, unlucky. Yeah, very confident in his hard rock abilities in particular, so should have no problem with this, even if it is AR9. It is very much reminiscent of what you would expect from a hard rock skill set with the precision-oriented maps. Meanwhile, on the side of Portugal, Big Yikes, what a name, coming in alongside Kuronara. And Rafamat, I believe, also coming in. Was he in the DT2? I'm not entirely sure.
Rafamat was, yeah.
Okay, I'm just misremembering them. But nonetheless, you can kind of see what this map is all about just from the get-go. Very small circles, very hard. This is a 6-star map, and it probably plays a lot harder than a 6-star map, as we're already seeing a lot of breaks come in from mostly Crimea. Everyone else not really having that much of a difficult time. Ballner as well to drop, so Portugal looking to counteract the first pick, DT2, with their own very strong pick. No one having any issues whatsoever. Kuronora drops, but it's traded immediately by Ballner. Doesn't matter at all. This is very solid from Portugal. Okay, well, it's not solid anymore. Thankfully, Dench does trade one of those misses, so WhatsApp and Rafamat going to be dropping the FC. Crimea trades as well, so not going to be the end of the world. 1 FC to 1 with the recovery combos on Ballner and Kuronora fighting against each other. Will be remaining equal for now. 200k score lead in favor of Portugal. Kuronora does drop that recovery combo, but shouldn't be enough, especially with no one loves and Ballner also dropping the combo. That should set in stone this map. Big Yikes. The name of all time. And of course, why would he FC as soon as I even consider mentioning his name? Why not?
It was a big miss from Big Yikes, as there doesn't really appear to be any combos anywhere. Dench kind of looking a little bit scary. 233k though, far out of reach for either team at this point to make up any form of score deficit. But a solid first pick from Portugal here. They have picked well into their skill set of that precision. Ukraine not able to respond even with the strength of Dench behind them. So we keep a very even game after these first two picks. We're going to have to go a bit deeper into this matchup to to see who is truly the more dominant team. But it's Ukraine to pick next. Do they stay with DT?
Wouldn't necessarily surprise me, especially after DT2. I think DT1 would be a valid pick into that. Could also opt for the Nomad 2, more stamina focused than speed focused, granted, but it is something I think Ukraine would do pretty well on. Hidden 2 was banned by Portugal. I wouldn't necessarily be too surprised to see Ukraine opt for Nomad 3. It is a bit of a different skill set, just because I think it relies a bit more on overlap reading, which a lot of players struggle with. They usually just end up memorizing instead of really reading the overlaps. So we'll see if Ukraine opts to go for that, but I think for right now, DT1 and Nomad 2 are most likely the picks.
Free Mod 2 maybe?
Free Mod 2 as well, yeah.
Or
that is
flow
also
streams.
a potential possibility.
They've kind of got their pick of the board here if they want to play streams. But keep it simple. Keep it simple with the Nomad 2. As you said, the Rollpan Nomad 2. This is 230 BPM. Quite fast, I would say, for something of this sort of stage. But I guess it fits that stamina box quite well. Quite generous, though, on the circle size 3.4. We've got a lot of density to this map, which really does help with avoiding chain missing. So I'm expecting some pretty high combos from a lot of these players here, to be honest.
Yeah, you're saying that this is a bit on the hard side for group stage. Unfortunately, looting exists, and now everyone can play 230 BPM with no problem.
That's very true.
Political commentary.
It's more of a price cap than a skill cap nowadays.
Even then, it's not really a price cap, honestly. Rapid Trigger is pretty accessible for pretty much anyone. Nonetheless, not the topic to be talking about during a tournament. I just wanted to bring that up because I hate speed, and I wanted to make fun of it. But yeah, Nomad 2, 230 BPM streams. Skill set that I think most of everyone should be well versed with if they've played pretty much any tournaments for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, especially looking at these lineups from what we saw in qualifiers, the rosters are relatively predictable for these teams. I'm expecting Rafamat to be in for this, Utzap, Peter Pan, Coronora. Does look like they've gone with Utzap instead, though, which is an interesting choice. On the other side, I was expecting Crimea is also an interesting choice on the side of Ukraine. So both teams opting for a little bit of a different strategy from the qualifiers, but again, it is a lot higher BPM, 40, I believe, from qualifiers to groups. So that does invoke a little bit of change from both sides, opting for slightly different rosters, but getting ready to kick things off. See those big circles, CS 3.4, OD9. A lot that could go wrong. TG Nala's going to be finding that first hand, the first drop for Portugal. So, advantage Ukraine to start this out as everyone else settles into this map quite nicely.
I think that was just an unfortunate slider break on one of the kick sliders for TG Nalis. Because otherwise, he's been pretty rock solid for this. Okay, well, as soon as I say that, slider break.
You're 3 for 3 today. You're doing very well.
I'm doing wonderfully right now, honestly. Pretty impressive. Just unfortunate slider break from TG Nalis. It's not even misses. There's the streams themselves, no problem whatsoever. Just very unfortunate slider tech-oriented sections with these kick sliders that he's struggling on to get combo, and unfortunately no one else is having any problems whatsoever. 7 FCs still remaining as we approach the halfway point of the map.
Yeah, I feel like this is very typical of what we see in like a lot of Nomad 2s in the early stage. where we just seem to have a ton of combos right until like the end of the map, where people just drop for no reason.
Bit of
You
a
could
slow
argue
section
no.
here.
I disagree.
Yeah, I mean, bit of a slow section here. Both of these teams know what's at stake. They got to see the leaderboard there. No one loves with a slider break. It's going to even things up right back for Portugal. They have a 200k lead, but that's going to be shifting very quickly over. Crimea now breaks. Roman breaks. Oh no.
Not good.
This is a problem.
Not good for Ukraine at all. That scorebar is going to decrease rapidly, as no one from Portugal seems to want to trade it. There goes Peter Pan, but it's not enough. 2 major combos to 1 for Portugal, and they're going to steal this right at the end. I told you, Fiery. Drops for no reason, but they happen.
WhatsApp shake at the end was crazy there, but he still managed to almost get the FC. That was actually nuts from him on that. 1 FC for either side. Dench and Rafamat clutching the FCs for Portugal, or Ukraine and Portugal respectively. 900k from WhatsApp. Very solid team performance from Portugal on that, and just unfortunately for Ukraine, much like what Portugal had with their 8th player, or the 4th player, they just slider broke. They just had the worst slider breaks of all time, and that cost them the match. Or the map, not the match.
Yeah, a tough order for Ukraine. They, for a pick that we kind of expected them to do extremely well on, they just got caught out at the wrong time and underestimated how well Portugal could play that map. But I can understand the mindset, especially coming off DT2, that they would have the advantage and they were kind of going to 4th player that, but it hasn't worked out for them. Major backfire, as Portugal kind of now in the driver's seat, but are they going to dip their toes into the free mod perhaps? Maybe try and find something a bit more unique and rely on the more gimmicky style maps.
Unfortunately for Portugal, there's no precision left in the pool, which is what they were very strong at. So they're most likely going to be going into the free mod pool, which you are correct. They do end up doing. Will be Psyche. This is a tech-oriented map, so somewhat in line with what we saw in the No Mod 5, just without the precision aspect. Fairly short map, too. I believe under 2 minutes long, so much like No Mod 5, breaks early on do actually matter quite considerably here.
Yeah, very short but intense map. These sort of Psyche songs, they tend to have big build-ups, then they have the drops and a calm, relaxing eye before the storm section in between, and then they ramp back up in difficulty again. So it's trying to FC, especially through that early drop, taking the combo through, because then you can kind of build up a nice big combo advantage if you can get a couple of players through that section. But it also works in the inverse. If your team is running through with combo, you have a major advantage into the second drop that most teams can't recover from. So the early game, really the area to watch. Could pretty much decide the matchup there and then with the right team.
For those tuning in unaware of what free mod means at least 2 players need to take a mod, 1 hard rock and 1 hidden. The rest can choose to take those mods if they so choose. Sometimes people opt to take both mods at the same time. That is allowed. But you need at the very least 2 of those players minimum on those mods, and they need 2 no mod players maximum. We'll see if any of these teams opt to overmod, but I imagine probably not in an early stage scenario like this, unless they are very confident that they can guarantee an FC. Finally, going to be seeing Yarema come in on the side of Ukraine.
Yeah, we kind of have to. I got really tongue-tied there. We really have to estimate kind of what kind of rosters people will be bringing in for this, because we don't even know what mod combinations people prefer to preference, although having a look before the map begins, we can see No One Loves and Kuranora going head-to-head on the Hard Rock. Epimer and Rafamat going to be battling on the Hidden. So you've got Dench and Bolner for Ukraine on the Nomad, up against Big Yikes and Udzap. So again, a very slow introduction to this map. Kind of builds the tension, builds the nerves, builds the combo as well. And then it'll all come down to that first drop. Who can react to it the best? Carry that combo through. If anyone. Oh,
that is a very unfortunate break on the repeat slider for Ballner there. Should hopefully not matter too much. Yep, Rafamat drops on the first, I'd say, hard part. So we get into the first very tech-oriented section here. No one really having too much of an issue. As soon as I say that, No One Loves does miss. Big Yikes to trade that. So 2 FCs to 2 right out of the get-go, halfway through the map. Recovery combo on Ballner is solid. Dench drops one of those FCs, though. Will be Portugal with the combo advantage heading out of that section.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Dench. That was the last Nomad, really, for Ukraine. Also, shaking my finger at Dench. He forgot to take that no-fail. But Udzap and Kuranora looking very good into this pick. Into the last quarter, but Kuranora are going to be finding issues. Bolner still holding on against Udzap. It's a Nomad battle with not much recovery available. Big Yikes, though, with some good supporting combo. Udzap going to drop, though. Bolner's still there. Supporting combo from Dench disappears, but Bolner holds strong. And with a little bit of the map left, he drops! And it flips away.
We've seen so many of these map picks on Free Mod 1 go immediately the other way on that ending. That ending is absolutely brutal, and Bonner was looking to clutch it up for his team. He was doing crazy on that, but that one drop, and it just immediately shifted over to the Portuguese side. That's the problem with these short maps. You have to have good combos going in. And if you break anywhere, it can drastically change the outcome. And we saw that right there. Portugal now, breakpoint, 3-1. They have their next pick to go up match point early on in this match. And they're just going to immediately go for it. No mod 3, not too surprising, considering... Alright, no. That was Portugal pick. My bad. I am not good at memory. But Ukraine opting for no mod 3, not too surprising, considering Portugal banned Hidden 2, so... most likely have been well-versed in practicing this map. Should have no problems here.
Yeah, hoping for a bit of return to form. After their last map pick didn't really go their way. On the Nomad 5, a bit of a change-up in map style now, not opting to do any more streams or anything of the sort. Like you mentioned, it is very much... it's a bit gimmicky, this one. You know, don't let that star rating fool you. The AR7 CS5. Something you'd probably expect to see maybe in a free mod slot, but it works here as a unique style map to offer change from maps like No Mod 2 and the higher BPM stuff.
Oh, it's only 4 stars. It should be very easy for these players, surely, right?
Oh, absolutely. I can't see anything going wrong with a very, very basic 4-star map. How difficult could a 4-star map be? Right? Right?
Oh, we'll be seeing shortly. Just waiting on the 4th player for both of these teams to get in. WhatsApp will be the 4th for Portugal, waiting on Ukraine. I'm actually not too sure who comes in as the 4th on Ukraine here. I'm not sure Dench would be... I don't think he would be in for this. Could be entirely wrong on that.
I imagine if Dench is coming in, I assume it's a fill kind of slot, because he'll be very consistent on these sort of dense maps.
Seems like that's going to be the case. As we said before, Portugal Ukraine banned Hidden 2 for a reason against Portugal. Decent at reading, especially when compared to Ukraine's reading roster. They get to face off against each other on a somewhat reading-oriented map, but it is possible to memorize this. No Mod 3, AR7, much more reading-focused than the AR8 Hidden, as a matter of fact. Alongside a slight precision with CS5. Not really anything crazy, though.
Oh, yeah, that was it. Perfect stacks. That's why the star ratings... Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, good luck reading this. A lot of back and forth snap patterns to contend with on this one. But everyone adjusting to this map really, really well. No major drops to speak of, apart from a slight adjustment drop from Kenzol over on the side of Portugal. But it's not their pick, it's not entirely pressure on them, they've already earned that breakpoint. No, that pressure sits with Ukraine at this stage. And they are finally pulling that score lead over to their side. Mostly on accuracy alone. But Dench is going to find a drop. Again, we were a bit unsure about that choice, as Rafamat is going to trade it up though, so that's a drop for Portugal. But those accuracies still strong. Ukraine gonna be holding on to that lead, but we've got a long way to go in this map. Plenty of time for that to change.
That break actually does favor Ukraine slightly, especially with Big Yikes breaking as well. And everyone breaking, apparently. Kenzol and Hirema going to be trading breaks. It's just Kotsik, Ballner, and WhatsApp on the FCs currently. The accuracy advantage fairly even now. Was in favor of Portugal, but has evened out pretty nicely. Don't speak of Ballner's accuracy, because I know as soon as I even mention that it's an SS, it will be immediately gone in the next 5 minutes. Yep.
There it is. There it is. Didn't even take 5. Didn't even take 5
It took 3 seconds. My fault, apparently. I just like trolling players, what can I say?
He's back on form. He's back on form, folks.
I'm ready. FC is still holding. No real combo breaks outside of Kenzol and Big Yikes to speak of, which they already broke. Kotsik going to be finding a break. That's one of the first major breaks we've seen in a couple of seconds. But will it be enough? It's slightly shifting over to Portugal, but I don't think nearly enough at the moment. Third of the map remaining.
It's very even at this stage, because you've got the supporting combos, but Kenzol finding a drop. That's going to hurt Portugal a little bit more, because Kotsik didn't really have anything to offer to trade. But it is slightly, very, very slightly going back over. As we look at those big combos, Udzap, Bolner, still looking to trade. It's a triple drop for Portugal there. Disaster. It's just Udzap holding on, and there's nothing to stop Ukraine now.
I think even with, if everything held as it was, as soon as I say that, Hirema and Dench missed their supporting combos, but even if everything held, I don't think there was enough map left. This is a very low density map at a 128 BPM, so not too much density remaining in the map to really claw that lead back, I think. Ballner missing might get a bit interesting at the end. I don't think it's going to be enough, especially with no supporting combos. It definitely won't be.
Already at 900k, Kotsik was there with a support enough to isolate that score. So it will stay with Ukraine just ever so slightly. But it looked a little scary on that pick as well. Ukraine not in the form we'd expect them at this stage, but they are very closely seeded teams, so anything can go. And is at this stage. Portugal still in the lead, though, going into their next pick. And this would put them in a match point position if they're able to defend from Ukraine. But there isn't really many obvious picks, I think, for Portugal here. I think they do have to take a bit of a gamble.
Well, Unironically, if they want to take a gamble, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised to see them pick into Nomad 1, but I don't think either of these teams really do. If they want to stick with tech-oriented maps, Nomad 4 is most likely the choice that they'll go for. I guess Hidden 1 kind of fits that bill as well, but between those two maps, I think that they're going to be picking. And no, they're going to be sticking with free mod. And interestingly enough, I mean, they did win Nomad 2, so not super interestingly enough, I guess, but free mod 2, the flow aim pick, going to be chosen by Portugal.
Again, I think this is still a gamble because, you know, you still had that victory from on DT2 for Ukraine, you know, which was much more the speed oriented. But again, like you said, this is flow aim. This is taking out what we had in both Nomad 2 and DT2, where there was speed, there was tapping, but there wasn't a lot of spacing between a lot of those circles, whereas this really does change things on its head. It's a comfy 195 BPM. You know, it's not pushing that 200 mark, so most players are going to feel relatively comfortable on this, but it's getting that flow right. It's still, in my mind, a bit of a gamble from Portugal, but maybe they know something I don't.
I mean, the mods might play a factor here. Maybe Ukraine doesn't have necessarily a confident hidden stream player, or at least that's what their Portuguese are thinking. I think this is more so just a general comfort pick for Portugal. They can play. They obviously can play these types of maps. Nomad 2 they didn't have too many issues with outside of some slider breaks in the beginning. This is granted a lot slower than that and more focused on overall flow aim spacing. So definitely test that aspect more than it does, say, speed or stamina.
Yeah, very good scores from both sides really on this style of map. You know, more tapping reliant skill sets. It's going to be an interesting one, to say the least. Some interesting roster choices here coming out from both sides. Surprised to see Meower in for this one.
I think the first time we've seen him in this match so far, right?
Yeah, and Kotsik on the side of Ukraine is interesting to say the least. Not a bad choice, but is coming in for the hard rock on their side. That makes more sense. Poma on the hidden. That rounds out with No One Loves and Dench on the Nomad for Ukraine. On the other side, it's Big Yikes going up against Kotsik. You've got Rafamat on the hidden, and Utzap and Miawa coming in strong. Utzap having a really good game thus far, kind of looking to build on that on this free mod pick, but let's see whether those mods are going to trip any of these players up, especially on the hard rock. The spacing going to be critical to get right. But the density of the hidden also adds difficulty.
This is it's like kind of the exact opposite scenario as the Nomad 5 or the Nomad 3. This is a very high density map, so these early misses aren't going to matter as much as we saw both No One Loves and Kotsik drop very early on. But Big Yikes, the first one to noticeably drop, will be giving Ukraine a very sizable score lead here as we enter the first break time. This map doesn't ever really let up.
No, and with slightly less combo on the side of Ukraine, it's surprising to see them so far ahead, but No One Loves gonna be finding a drop. Pomo's gonna go as well. That's 2 down for Ukraine. Consistency not there today. Only less than a third of the map left. We're into the last quarter, to be honest. Portugal looking really strong here.
And they recovered very nicely after those early misses. Ukraine struggling on the second third of that. We'll see if anything happens in the last third. Still plenty of time remaining. 100k score lead can go down in a flash if a lot of these combos on Portugal drop. Roman dropping will not be really helping that case, though. There goes big yikes, but not any of the FCs, and I think that's most likely going to be doing it for this map. Three-way FC, we'll see if they can hold it into the ending here. Very strong performance from Portugal. WhatsApp finally going to be dropping on the very last space stream, unfortunately, but doesn't matter. Rafamat and Meower closing out the FCs on the Hidden and Nomad, respectively. Actually, a slider break from Rafamat at the, I believe, very end. Nonetheless, still, the highest score in the lobby. Very solid team performance from Portugal on that, and they go up match point. Very solid pick from them.
Absolutely, yeah. Great scores coming out on not only the Nomad from Meower, but also Rafamat on the Hidden. Really, really impressive stuff, but also Kotsik on the other side for Ukraine, getting a nice 930k on the Hard Rock. That is not easy to do on this map, but does so with a good bit of style, but it's not enough for Ukraine. Portugal take their point and say, your back is up against the wall, Ukraine. Your next pick better be a good one. And I don't see this much as a surprise for their last pick. Hidden 1. Overjoy Overdose. The Mir map.
The only thing that does surprise me, kind of, about this is that they picked into tech, and they've not had the greatest time on most of the tech maps so far. But not horribly surprising to see them pick into this. After all, Portugal banned Hidden too. They're obviously not going to be super confident on Hidden. If you have the better Hidden roster, why not go for it? Take a shot in the dark, you're already down match point, might as well do something that you think you'll be confident on.
Again, Hidden 1 from qualifiers was also a bit of a mechanically intensive map, so you know, there's still a lot of those elements present in this sort of swing tech style map. So I think it is going to be a good pick for them, because Portugal just didn't look confident on Hidden throughout the qualifying stage, which is what I assume they're banking on. But Portugal have surprised us once already so far this match, and they're looking to do it again. Their first chance to close out this match is on this Hidden 1. But Ukraine looking to show a little bit more, or hoping to show a little bit more consistency that we've not really seen from them. We've seen those double drops coming in at the worst possible time. That has held them back this matchup. But maybe they turn things around from this point on. They need to win 3 maps back to back, including that tiebreaker, in order to save this matchup for themselves and get that much needed point in this group stage.
It's just really that one map that Ukraine lost on their pick. It's making all the difference right now. They haven't clawed back that point from Portugal. Portugal has won all of their picks so far. They're going to need to for the last pick if it comes down to it. For right now, though, Hidden 1. See how this goes for both of these teams.
A bit of an adjustment from both teams, but it's definitely hit harder by Portugal. They struggle with accuracy out the gate. Kenzol going to be the first one to drop. Poima dropping the combo as well, but with better accuracy. Ukraine maintain that advantage, and that's only going to grow unless Portugal get these accuracies under control. Rafamat looking really good though on that 99. Need to see a great team recovery here, and they're starting to pull it back to their side with that combo advantage, even if it is ever so slight.
More so the accuracy, I think. Starting to see a couple of hundreds from just the entirety of the Ukrainian roster. This is a very hard map to act, granted. The fact that Rathamat has 99.6% is honestly ridiculous on this so far. Meow are going to be the next one to drop. That goes combo advantage back in favor of Ukraine by a pretty considerable margin. So even with that insane accuracy, they're going to need some help from Ukraine in order to get back into this halfway through the map.
Yeah, aside from that one mistake from Poma, Ukraine yet to put a major foot wrong into this, but this is where the map changes up. It's a little bit more difficulty. Do we see a mistake? It's just Poma again, but Kenzel there to trade it up, and that hurts Portugal more and more. Bolny, though, gonna finally drop, but with so much of the map under their belt, I don't see a way back in for Portugal here.
This is actually, score lead is shifting over pretty rapidly, all things considered, especially with the repeated breaks from Baltner. I'm not sure if it's enough necessarily, but this is going to get very close at the end. Right now, Urema and Bench still holding on to the FCs to counter WhatsApp and Rathamat. Rathamat still with ridiculous accuracy, 99.3%. And will be getting close at the end, but not enough to make a noticeable difference. If any of the other combos on the Ukrainian roster broke during that part, it would have almost immediately shifted over to Portugal, honestly. But they stay alive. That's what's most important for them. And now they need to gain that breakpoint that they lost back, or Portugal will win 5-3 otherwise.
But look at those scores. Ukraine really did have to work hard to keep that point firmly in their camp. You know, it's a 3.1 million team score compared to a 3 million flat team score from Portugal. That was very close by the numbers, with both sides pulling up double full combos. But it works out better from the supporting combos for Ukraine. They've done all they can on their own picks. They put that 1 foot wrong earlier in the matchup. But it's over to Portugal now. And just looking at their picks, I don't know if they're picking into that harder at 1. I think they might stay with free mod here. It's kind of been working in their favor, and I'd be surprised to see anything different.
Well, you're going to be surprised to see something different. Granted, this is, I think, in line with what the free mod 3 offers, just without the free mod. This is alt-oriented snap aim, which is definitely kind of covered by free mod 3 as well. So, very similar picks. I guess they just feel more confident on this DT3. It is a quite interesting pick into Ukraine of all teams, though. As we mentioned, Ukraine... Actually... Yeah, no, Ukraine had the highest placement that they had in the entire qualifiers outside of one map on this at number 16. Portugal, admittedly, was not very far behind them, number 20 on the alt-oriented double time in qualifiers. So probably just banking on them having a bit more consistent team score, I believe. And we'll see how it plays out for them. They have a breakpoint to mess around with. They still have tiebreaker at the very least guaranteed, even if they lose this.
Portugal taking a little bit of time to get their roster together for this one. Just kind of adjust to having to play DC. They've not played it in quite a while here. And I think they're probably, especially at this late stage of the match, a bit 50-50 on what they want to go through. But this is their best opportunity now to close out this match. They did all that hard work earlier on to win that no mod, to put themselves in the match-winning position, but if they fail to close out here, they will be forced into a tiebreaker situation with Ukraine. And looking at that Ukrainian roster, that is a scary predicament to be in.
They get one map at a time for right now. Portugal is worried about just getting this map and winning their own pick. Just currently waiting on a bench to get in the lobby. Ukraine has said that that is their 4th player, and just unfortunately having some internet connectivity issues. As is classic with Bancho, it wouldn't be a multiplayer match without Bancho somehow managing to screw up.
It wouldn't be a World Cup match without Bancho.
That too. Any tournament, really, if we're going to be completely honest. Nonetheless, it seems like it has been resolved, so... Roman, no one loves. Artyom, Dench, Rafamat, Meower, Koronora, and WhatsApp all going to be competing on this map.
So, here we go. Map number 8, the last map pick from Portugal, and the last map pick in general for this matchup, regardless of the result. And out the gate, couple of accuracy drops for Ukraine, but plenty of time to recover. Even though this map's only just over 2 minutes long, it is another short one to watch out for, but it hurts Portugal more with a triple break from Portugal in the first quarter of the map. That stings.
That's such an unfortunate break from WhatsApp, especially. I think he just misread that overlap. And fortunately for Ukraine, it's going to give them a very sizable lead as we get into the first third of the map done already. Almost 140k. This quad FC from Ukraine holding intact for now. Don't imagine it'll be the case for much longer, and even before I even thought about speaking it, Dench is going to be missing. Not going to be the end of the world. Kerner trades it, so effectively no difference. The score lead is still going to be climbing up rapidly. Not anymore. No one loves, and Artyom going to be dropping. Still in favor of Ukraine for right now, but that does give a pretty sizable combo advantage to Portugal, and this combo lead is gonna... Oh, this lead is...
Look at the supports from Portugal. They're there, and they're pulling the score over. Quarter of the map left. There's still time. Artem finds another drop for Ukraine. They need to get together, and Dench goes down as well. Oh, it's gonna flip at the end. Fiery hits again. A last-minute flip.
There's still time left, so there's still one hard part. Can make all the difference. If Portugal collapses on this, then could still shift over to Ukraine, but they've been looking very confident on this latter half of the map. Meower drops. That's one. They're going to need, I think, another one, unfortunately, and they're just not going to find it. Score lead will be shifting to about 100k, but it doesn't matter.
Oh, they had it in the palm of their hands, Ukraine. It was a triple break from Portugal. But they retaliated with those supporting combos. And in the end, that's what made the biggest difference. Poma did their best holding on to that big combo, but it just wasn't enough. Ukraine go down in this group stage matchup to Portugal, the 36th seed, making an impact here in the first week with a great victory overall. That No Mod 5 was a big surprise. Trade in their favor, and they just carried through with that momentum. Great picking from them this matchup as well.
It was just that breakpoint that determined everything for this match, which is kind of how a lot of tournament matches go. Unfortunately, you have one slip up, and that's all it takes to lose all of the momentum that you have. We're still seeing, I believe, both Portugal and Ukraine later on next week. I believe they have matches next week. Yes, Ukraine does, and so does